Thank you very much. In terms of grey listing, we know we are a member of the international body that looks at issues of laundering, supporting terrorism, those countries where the financing of terrorism passes through their systems, and also the notification of equipment. So Kenya was found wanting in certain parameters. That is why we ended up in the grey listing. We have been working very, very hard to make sure that we put both the legal framework and also the administrative measures to demonstrate, because this is actually a peer assessment. You get into a group, we are in a group which includes South and South. So your peers assess you. So, and we have been making very steady and progressive progress in that line. There are certain boxes that we have not ticked, but we're working very hard, and I'm sure that the rest will get out of the grey list. On the question that you asked regarding the issue of budget cuts to the counties, I think there is clear misrepresentation of what happened. You see, when we are doing mini budget or supplementary budget, what guides the treasury, national treasury, is the absorption. Now, the lines that were recommended for cuts are donor-funded projects that their expenditure is dependent on the county additional allocation of funds. That bill is still stuck in the National Assembly and the Senate. Therefore, even if you leave that money in the budget, you will not spend it anymore. So, as a national treasury and looking at our fiscal space and looking at the fiscal space, instead of allowing that money to sit in the budget and reflect a higher budget deficit to GDP ratio, which again would impact on our budget position, we thought it was wise to reduce that budget because they are not being spent and they may not be spent. We are in March, we are going to April, and Parliament has not passed the bill, and you cannot spend without that bill. So even if we leave the money in the books, it will be just like for entertainment, but the money will not be spent. So this discussion that National Treasury was diverting funds was completely out of tune with the normal budgetary process. That money cannot be spent anywhere. Donors have conditionalities. The conditionalities is that the money was supposed to be spent in the counties. If we don't spend it in the counties, we will not spend it. So what we were doing was remove them from the books. But really, if Parliament is still, Senate and National Assembly and the governors are flexing their muscles on whether to allow some road maintenance levy to go to counties or not, as National Treasury, we are not involved in that politics. So what do? Do we allow the figures to still remain there and show a higher budget deficit? The answer is no if you approve them. But we have since, I think, discussed the matter with the Council of Governors. Allow me just to add something to what my PS said. You know, when you talk about debt sustainability, it is all about our framework. What is our legal framework? Our legal framework is that we should move to 55% of the GDP as the total debt stock in terms of present value. Now, we are still way above that at 65.7, and that is why the PS told you that now we have to design our strategy around how then effectively we would move from where we are of 65.7 to 55, which we have just a couple of years, actually less, about 3 years, to hit that target. And that must be deliberate. And the first step is to consistently and persistently reduce your budget deficit to GDP ratio year in year. And that began way back, 2020, 2021. One, the PS told you, and I repeated it when we were addressing the gathering inside there, that the budget deficit to GDP ratio was 8.1%. It moved to 6.2. The following year, it has moved to 5.6. Then it moved to 5.3. This year, we are working with 4.9. Next year, we are going to 4.3. And in the medium term, it will be at 3.5 or even 3%. That is one strategy of managing there. The second strategy is to look at the debt profiles and the costs and see. Your peers, my peers here has said this. You're laughing about it. Yes. It's not your peers. It's not just my peers. It's actually our peers. Our peers are saying this. that if by reducing the costs for borrowing, and let me just give you one example very quickly. If we have reduced the costs of government borrowing, using government papers, the treasury bills, the short-term bills, that is 91, 182, and 360 bills, treasury. If they have come like from last year, around this time, it was about 16% that the government was borrowing 91.3. Today, it's about 8%. If it remains like that for a year, what does that tell you? That all our treasury, our debts which are in treasury bills, which is about 900 billion for the three papers, we will consistently save 8%. If we save 8% of 900 billion in 1 year, if the rates remain in that bracket for 1 year, we'll save 72 billion. What can that do? 72 billion, you just need to add another 24 billion to get 96 billion for the entire capitation of schools. But you will definitely pay one first term capitation of 48.8 billion without any stress. So that is the effect, that is the impact. And by the way, if you get 72 billion, you can pay almost half of the road pending bills in the road sector. So it is something that the Treasury is doing together with the central bank to make sure that our debt sustainability becomes as it is. First of all, we must live with the reality, and the PS mentioned it. External financing is becoming scarce. It is not an option. You know, if we are option on getting that money, then we can engage into a debate. We don't have that option. Number one, you can see what the US is saying. And that is going to impact not just the US loans. I mean the US support, because actually the US is not supporting the budget directly. It is going to impact even any support that we have been getting from Europe. Because the American government is now not supporting the war in Ukraine. Europe is going to divert resources to that war. You will not get that money. And that impacts every economy now is very alert and sensitive to decisions that the US government is making. This is the one leading the economy. And therefore you will find that you don't have that space to get money externally. So what options do you have left? Option A, mobilize revenue locally. Tax your people. We can't increase taxes. So what do? We can broaden the tax base and make our system efficient, which we are doing, to collect as much as we can. Option 2, use the little resources you have prudently and efficiently, curbing corruption. That again is our side. But option 3, if there is room for borrowing, think more domestically. And he has told you, and it was mentioned there, that our capital market is deepened and that we are not crowding out the private sector as we speak. The problem with the private sector has been that the interest rates are high. So what the government needs to do, and which we are working on, is to keep our borrowing rates low so that Kenyans, also the private sector, also get access to the market at a lower rate. Then if anything, money is there. It is not that we are lacking liquidity in the market. I don't think there is anyone today who would go to the bank to borrow money and is told, we would have given you money, but we are lacking liquidity. The money is there. It's only that conditionalities are tough because the interest rates are high and there's a lot of asks. But if we work on that, then we don't have a problem. On IMF programs as follows, we had a program that began in 2021, as you're aware. This program had 9 reviews. We have successfully gone through the 8 reviews. Actually, the 7th and 8th review we combined because the 7th review was delayed. So, you know, there are certain conditionalities that you have to fulfill to be able to access the fund. Now, we have 1 review left, and we have very limited time to the period when this program is coming to an end, which is first of April, which is just how many days left? 4 days. And therefore, realistically, we sat down with the IMF when they were here, the mission was sent here, and we agreed that the time left we cannot complete it because there are processes to complete it. Mutually, we agreed that we start a discussion for the next program as opposed to now pursuing the one. And that is what we are into. Now, you need a process to start that. The first step is for the sovereign, that's the Kenya government, to formally request or ask through writing that we engage in that, the next program, which we have done. So I have already written on behalf of the Kenya government to get into the next program there. And that is the position. We are in good books. We are discussing very well. And by the way, IMF is in town. They are doing for us governance diagnosis. Out of our request, the government request for them to come and assess our system, because you cannot clean your bank. You need someone to work your bank, isn't it? So we engage with them at different